call. I'm not sure what hand you have in it or how your thoughts on it, but do you sense any momentum for any sort of
Yeah,
tangible change?
I mean, I have a lot of thoughts on it, but I'll hold some of those thoughts to myself because a lot of those thoughts, I guess, were seen in Mardi Gras and Super Bowl Sunday, and I agreed with a lot of those folks. But the bottom line is, I think there is momentum. I think there are. Certainly, I think there's a recognition, certainly by other presidents that I talked to, other owners that I talked to, that something needs to be done. Now, what will happen, what will be done, and will something be done is another question. But there definitely is recognition that something needs to be done. We're spending so much time and effort in making our game so great that it's very very important that we make our game great also at the referee level as well and the officiating level as well. So yes, I think there's momentum. Where that's going to go, I don't know. There were 7 proposals that were put forth, none of them by the Saints of those 7. So you could see that there's recognition that something needs to be done. Obviously, the competition committee is also doing something as well. So we'll see where we land. But yes, there's a recognition. There is some momentum.
Hindsight being 2020, but is there a bit of a, I guess, surprise with all the technological advances that these things aren't already in place because the technology is there.
No, I think there certainly is that recognition. Now, having said that, you know, it's very important that we do everything we can to make sure that our viewership stays up, that our mobile streaming continues to grow. And part of that is not lengthening the game. We continue to hear that. So whatever we want to do, our fans are telling us, yes, they want us to get it right. But on the other hand, too, they want us to stay in basically a certain time parameter. And as you say, though, I think there's technology out there, technology that exists that can certainly accomplish both of those things.
Dennis, has there been any dialogue about, you may not be able to answer this, but about adding an 8th official to the field?
There has been discussion outside of the room. There has not. I have not been part of any discussion inside the room. I would tell you, I'm sure the competition committee rather has discussed that. That'd probably be a better question for Sean.
I'm sure the Saints fans want a change right now. For people like you and the owners, how hard is it? Like, if you had to explain to the fans, how hard is it to make that change reality? Like how much of a mountain is it? I mean, what are you going through?
Yeah, no, I mean it is a challenge. Again, I think it's a bit of a challenge because of the success of the league. To be quite honest with you, it is important that we don't change rules, year in and year out. So there have been a number of steps that have been put in place that you have to go through in order to get this rule changed. Again, I feel as the fans do. I think it's very very important we get this rule changed and we get officiating in a position that we're making sure we're getting all the calls that are called correct as well as the ones that aren't called correct. So again. I wish we could wave a magic wand and make it happen. But again, there are a number of steps in place to make sure we're not making large changes year to year.
There aren't any rule change proposals on the table that would allow a challenge in the case of a no call. Nothing that would have changed what happened in that game. So, what is your answer to that? 'Cause that's what fans, they said we've got to do more.
Yeah, I would say of the proposals that have been out there, I wouldn't hang my hat on any of the ones that are out there. There's still a lot of discussion that has to happen over the next, 24, 48 hours. So we'll see where we go. Even though something may not have been proposed, believe me, it can be changed through discussion that occurs over the next couple hours, a few hours. Again, that's probably a better question for Mickey and Sean, but I think anything's a possibility.
Can you also just kind of give people a taste of why there is a reluctance to put a foul on the field, like through a challenge?
I would say this. That's again, not that I don't want to answer the question. That's probably a better question for Sean, and I think you guys are going to talk to him about that. But again, I think there certainly has been a feeling I think throughout the room that we want the officials on the field to make the calls, and if you have someone overlooking them, maybe they won't be doing the best job that they can while they're out there on the field. Having someone looking over their shoulders. Again, I don't know. That's probably a better question for Sean and Mickey.
What are you going to do moving forward to try and get, or what is the organization going to do moving forward to try and get the Pelicans on the same footing as the Saints?
It's a really good question. And as I was talking earlier, the first thing we have to do is we have to take a look in the mirror and see where we are as an organization on the basketball side. And we've begun that process. And we're going through a process really now of reflecting where we are and where we need to be. And where we need to be is a champion. There's no question about it. Where we need to be is having on-court performance that is second to none. And I truly believe in my heart that this franchise and this team will be supported by the fans here in New Orleans when we put a winning team on the court. And having said that, it's our responsibility to do that. On the football side, there's a paranoia, if you will, year in, year out to be number one. I mean, the whole organization feels it. I don't care what it is. We were a little bit new to basketball, but we have to make sure we have that paranoia on basketball as well. And so I think we're going through a process of how we can shift some paranoia over to basketball as well. And back in 2006, we were an organization on the football side where it was tough to recruit people to come here. I'll tell you today, just about everybody in the NFL says they want to come to New Orleans to play for us. Everybody wants to live in New Orleans. We have to build that same organization on the basketball side. And we're going through the process of trying to figure out how we're going to do that. Part of that's certainly going to be going through the process to get a new general manager. Our new general manager is going to have to be someone that really believes in what we believe in. I think it's going to be someone that really believes how important winning is to the city. And I think it's going to be someone that can really believe in the city of New Orleans and the passionate fans that are here. And I don't accept, and I know Mrs. Benson doesn't accept, and I know Mickey or anyone else in our organization accepts, that being a small market will prevent us from winning a championship or prevent us from doing anything. We have a great relationship with the NBA. I talk to Adam Silver very often, and we talk about some of the issues that we have in a small market. We talk to some of the concerns we have. He's been an open ear. He's been great. He's been on our side too, in trying to make our organization better. I don't want any excuses why we can't be great on the basketball side, and that's what we're aiming to do.
Two more questions.
Sure.
Did Anthony Davis's actions this season force you guys to look in the mirror as you were speaking? And is it just kind of not enough anymore to have a couple of great players? You've got to have a championship.
Well, I wouldn't say it's all Anthony. I think there was a recognition that we have to win in this market. We want to win, obviously the Anthony Davis situation is unfortunate. I wish it wouldn't have happened, but it happened, and all we can do is look forward. Again, there's nothing other than, if we're going to be in this thing, we want to win it. I mean, if we're going to be involved in basketball, I want to win it. That's the way I am. That's my personality. That's everybody on our teams and everybody in our organization's personality. We want to win. I mean, that's the bottom line, just like we do in football. And again, I'll say it again, if we can do it in football, I think we need to do it in basketball as well.
Dennis, do you expect a resolution on the rule changes in this owners' meetings, or do you think it could be shelved until May?
I think it certainly could be shelved until May. I would tell you that, for some really big changes, oftentimes it does go through discussions in March, discussions in May, and really sometimes all the way up to the first week of the season. So, I would say if there's no change here, I certainly wouldn't rule out that there'll be a change by the time the season starts.
Did teams reach out to you guys after the no call around the league, expressing the same frustration that you had, which is, hey, the bottom line is you just want them to be right. You want the call to be right. Did teams reach out to you guys?
Many teams reached out to me. Many members of the NFL reached out to me. Literally within minutes after the no call. So yes, I think there was an instant realization that something needs to be done.
Was there any dialogue with the commissioner?
I did not have dialogue with the commissioner, but I know Sean had dialogue with the commissioner.
Has it been a year now working with Ms. Benson? How's that transition?
She's been absolutely awesome. She's been great to work with. She's there at work every day. She has participated in numerous, almost all of the meetings, all of our vice presidents' meetings, department head meetings. She's offered a lot of good insight. She's really passionate about our fans, passionate about what we're trying to accomplish. She gives us the resources and the the liberty, if you will, to go and do our jobs. And so we're all working for her. I think part of Mr. Benson's legacy was his correct decision to get Mrs. Benson to be our owner, because I can tell you she's done such a phenomenal job, to be honest with you. And she truly has a passion for the city. She truly has a passion for the fans. She truly wants to win. She truly wants to do the right thing. So we love her being our owner.
Was it comforting that other teams, not the Saints, put up the proposals, and does that strengthen?
Sorry, excuse me. Yeah, I think so. I think yes, absolutely. I think when we saw as many proposals come up, and they weren't all ours, I think there was a sense that absolutely people recognize that something needs to be done.
Dennis, I asked Gail the same question. You never get over that call, obviously, right? But
Yeah.
when did you, I guess, begin the process? When did you go, okay, I'm willing to even start to digest it to a degree?
Well, it's funny you should ask. Shortly thereafter, I said, all right, we got to get this behind me, and we have to move on to the next season, and talk to our staff the next day, I think, or day or two after, and just said, this just gives us a bigger chip on our shoulder, to win, and we just put it behind us. Let's move forward. Talked a lot about that. And I thought I did that pretty well, and just recently, my wife told me about 4 or 5 months to get over it, and I'm still not over it. But I don't know. I don't know what she's talking about. But yeah, it certainly put me in a bad mood for a long time. But yeah, I think you got to move on.
The lease is coming up in 2025 with the Superdome, right?
Yes.
Has there been any conversation about extending that lease?
Yes. We're in discussions right now with the state. We've been in discussions for a while, just knocking around ideas between what we think we'd like to accomplish and some of the things that they need to accomplish in the new state deal. One of the things is infrastructure of the dome. We're just going through, talking to architects, talking to engineers, talking to contractors, and going through that process. Look, a big part of this is Mrs. Benson wants to make sure this team stays here forever. And I would tell you, I certainly as a local feel the same way, being a Saints fan and a Jazz fan and having the Jazz taken away from me, and remember crying about that. I don't want these teams to move. She doesn't want these teams to move. I think both of us feel, in as much as what we can do to lock these teams into even the longer term, we want to do it while we're in a leadership position, to be perfectly honest with you. We think as long as we can get a deal where we can be financially viable over the next decade or over the next 15 years, looking at what's on the horizon, looking at where we see the league going over the next decade or so, that in as much as we can lock in, we want to lock in. In case anything happens, these teams are going to be here, particularly the football and basketball team. So that's what we're looking to do.
Any renovations for the Smoothie King Center or the Dome coming up?
Yeah, we're talking about renovations to the Superdome. Obviously, renovations are expensive, and so the question is who's going to pay for it. We're having those discussions. We have indicated to the state we'll contribute a pretty significant amount. Probably not ready to say how much because we haven't been through the entire architectural renderings and plans, but we understand that in order for us to make our fans happy and continue to be number one in fan satisfaction year in, year out, you have to have a very good facility. And that means we're going to have to invest in our facility. And so, we're open to do that. We're open to wanting to stay here long term. We don't have to extend. We have our lease through 2025 with a 5-year option. But again, going back to thinking maybe a little longer term road and trying to lock in now with this leadership, we thought about doing it now. At the end of the day, if things can't be worked out with the state, again, we're here at 2030 and we'll address the issue in the future.
As a local guy, did you appreciate some of the satire from Mardi Gras about the no call?
Yeah, not only am I a local guy, I'm a big Mardi Gras guy. I love Mardi Gras, and I absolutely loved it. I absolutely loved it. I think every parade, just about every parade, it seemed, had some type of satire. For the most part, when the satire is not aimed at you, it's great, and so it was aimed at someone else, and so I was loving it. So
How's the search for the Pelicans team going? Where are you right now? And what is it that missing piece, that characteristic that you say this person has to bring to New Orleans?
Sure. We're going through the process right now. Part of the process was a reflection of where we are as an organization. And as you may remember, when we announced that we were making a change, one of the things that was in there was that we were going to hire a consultant to help us with that. We have been working with that consultant. We'll probably announce that consultant here fairly shortly. But the interesting thing is what that is, there's probably multiple things. And so part of going through this process is talking to many different leaders in our organization to say, hey, what's important to you? Where do you see this organization? What has made it successful in the football team? So we've talked to numerous people along with our consultant to see what makes us a winner on the football side, what makes us a winner when we win on the basketball side, how can we extract those things, and then really then build kind of what our model is for the person going forward. So we have been going through that process. It's been a very open process. It's been a great process, and we'll see where we end. Obviously, we do have a bit of a timeline here because you have the end of the season coming up, and when you have to ask for permission to, perhaps interview certain people, all that. We're entering that window. So you'll probably start to hear a little bit more going forward.
Well, I did hear you brought your crystal ball with you to this
yeah.
NFL owners meeting.
Yeah.
So if you were able to look at it, when would you guess that you'll have a name for it?
I don't know. I would say next couple of weeks you start hearing some names probably being interviewed, people being interviewed.